So glad to have your company again, Aries. It's 2017 already. Happy New Year to you. I'm Dadhichi from astrology.com today. You're taking a quick look at the horoscope for you for 27. I want to take a snapshot view of some of the important transits that may be happening this year, the important themes that are going to be covered, and more significantly right now, the transit of Jupiter moving through your 7th house has continued to do that, is a lucky transit in your house of marriage, partnerships, relationships, and generally good fortune being in this angular position of your horoscope. Now that continues up until the 10th of October, so the whole of the year will be punctuated by this. It's a yearly transit, and when it moves into your 8th house at that time, for the last 3 months of the year, a lot of your focus is going to go from the actual relationship you're having to the connection you have with your partner over finances, over money, what between you is shared. So we also see that, preceding that, we have just had the very tense opposition between that planet in your marital sector and Uranus transiting your sun sign. Still a bit to go, and that of course has really shaken things up. And when it's involving planets in the 7th house, then we can see there may be some sudden power plays and control issues that come up within the relationship. That's still important because you'll see that there are other power planets as part of this particular combination of Uranus and Jupiter, and that is Pluto, which in my opening I was talking about. Sorry for the earful, the ear bashing that you got. On a personal note, this planet Pluto is in your 10th house. So this is what we call a T-square. It's generally passing, so some of the influences there aren't as strong unless planets go back into retrogression, and then we see them starting to play out those same old patterns within your horoscope. But obviously this is a very powerful and tension-filled aspect relating to your own self. That's your sun sign. The 7th house, which is your most important relationships, and this position of Pluto in your 10th house, which is, apart from being your career, it has a lot to say about the development of your ego and who you are as a person. You definitely want to make some inroads into that area, but there's a fear factor involved in that because you may have to really jettison things in your life and your circumstances to achieve this ideal me, and that could even involve some of the people that you're involved with in your relationships, being the 7th house. The other planet we look at, Saturn, will continue in the 9th house of your horoscope pretty much all of the year up until the 20th of December. It actually contributes a favourable aspect to Uranus, that disruptive planet. It's also passing, that's called a trine aspect. And therefore, we see the steadying effect of that particular planet on your life. So we have to balance a lot of what we're seeing here with this tension-filled opposition of Jupiter and Uranus and Pluto with the steadying hand of the more conservative Saturn. And that Saturn is coming from the location of higher education, tertiary education, what we call the higher mind. And in some systems of astrology, the planet Saturn is called the lower mind. It is a slow-moving planet. It's about a 2.5-year transit within each of the 12 signs. And being in this position, it could show a conflict between your higher morals, your lower morals, if you have any. Let's just call that the light and the shadow, this adjustment or necessity for equilibrium. And that can sometimes, as I said, come at a cost, along with those other planets, where you need to make some very, very severe choices. that planet after 20th of December, it's a long way off, and no doubt we'll be talking about this closer to the time, but that will move into your career sector. And so in the next couple of years, we see, just at a glance, an imminent conjunction of Saturn and Pluto in this very, very important part of your horoscope. The 10th house is the apex of the horoscope. So whatever you're doing now in terms of your higher mind, that readjustment to your spiritual self, your intelligent self, is going to really build to it's going to be a crescendo there in a couple of years when it comes into contact with Pluto in your 10th house of profession, career. So big changes coming there. And what you're doing now, I believe, is going to have an incredible impact upon that professional part of your life. Mind you, it also has what we call a reverse square. So it is going to impact on these relationships that we're talking about as well. So it's important for you to get very, very clear in the next 12 months about what it is you want in these areas. Where is it that you're applying your higher mind, your studies? How is it you're improving your skill sets? And if you listen to my introduction, I made note of the rise of artificial intelligence, automation and robotics, and how many of the jobs that are going to be around in the next 5 years we haven't even heard of. There's all sorts of new technologies emerging. I mean, how well aligned are you to these technologies is the question. And so I want you to give some thought to that, Aries. These are the important components and what I see coming throughout the next 2 or 3 years in your life. Your ruling planet Mars in the first portion of the year is located in your 12th house, and making an exact conjunction on New Year's Day with Neptune. So this too has a connotation of lack of clarity. It's almost like, the 12th house is a hidden house. Neptune is a very nebulous sort of planet. It's very spiritual in this area. But Mars, your ruling planet, is very dynamic, very active, very much a physical, go-get-it type of energy. And I think it's being hamstrung by this combination of energies. It's also on what we call the nodal axis. So these are all thematic of what I've just mentioned earlier in the reading for what I see for you in 2017 as being very much geared towards figuring it out, what it is that you really want to do. And that 12th house also has a charitable connotation, doing things not simply for the sake of money. So there may be some desire, and I said earlier, balancing out what it is you think is worthwhile against, what it is that is expected of you, balancing out the material desires and needs of your life against what your heartfelt desire is. What is it that you really want to do in life? So these are the big questions. These are not necessarily simply related to, what's going to happen next week and when you're going to meet that person, how much extra money you're going to get. On a thematic level, we are seeing this very powerful shift in your attitudes throughout 2017, 18 and 19, Aries. And speaking of Mars there, I was just saying that that particular planet will make some more sense to you when it transits into your sun sign later on, reasonably early in the year. If I could get hold of the transit chart for that, I really should have that at my disposal, but I don't. Here it is. Just have to go a little search on that. I'll just find your ruling planet Mars, which will tell you precisely, page upon page of transits. So there it is. They're actually earlier than I thought. January 28 moves into your sun sign. That's going to give you a big bolster. So I'd be saying to you, don't for the first part of the year, feel as you're obliged to make all of these huge decisions. I'm just telling you where these patterns are moving. You'll have a lot more drive and energy when Mars moves into your sun sign. 28th of January there into February will be a nice period for you. A little bit explosive there, especially when Mars comes into conjunction with Uranus, which we've said is transiting your sun sign. Care to be taken there under that aspect around February 27th, a month later. As I'm talking about the whole year, even though I'm jumping ahead, beyond January, you'll understand why. I'm not going to go far beyond that. I just want to keep to the theme that I'm seeing here. There's one other important note that I want to make here on the transit of the North Node, which is the karmic point from your 6th house to your fifth house of creativity, romance, love affairs, and connecting with your inner child. That happens around the very last week of May and into June. So you can see the year is punctuated with some extraordinarily important transits. That one of Mars, I think, will lift you around the 28th of January into February if you're feeling a little bit, woolly, fuzzy around the head as to what to do. You don't need to make a decision straight away. Just work with Saturn, develop your skill sets, but make sure you know what it is you want and why it is you're doing that. Stay tuned. Hope to have your company here again next month. Join me at astrology.com.au for the daily, monthly, yearlies. We've got the textual yearlies out right now if you want to get in there and read all about your romance in much, much more detail than what I've given you here. Take care. See you soon. Bye-bye.